the distress signal in the deep silence of space. The stars blinked like distant eyes watching everything. Captain Eli Hunter sat alone in the cockpit of his small cargo ship, the Sparrow. He was on a routine job delivering supplies between quiet moons and forgotten space stations. Nothing exciting ever happened, and that was how Eli liked it. But tonight was different. As Eli sipped his recycled coffee, a strange sound echoed through his ship's speakers. Not static, not a radio call, something else. Beep, 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 a signal. He leaned forward. Computer, scan that signal. The ship's eye replied in a calm voice. Unknown frequency. Signal origin, abandoned moon K-17, outside regular. Trade routes, Eli frowned. Moon K-17. No one lived there. It was marked dangerous years ago after a great war between alien empires. Humans were warned to stay away, but the signal was real, weak, but steady. He could ignore it. No one would blame him. Many pilots would turn the ship and fly far, far away, but Eli didn't. He stared at the signal map. It blinked like a tiny heartbeat in the middle of cold space. Someone or something was still alive out there. Set course to moon K-17, Eli said. Warning. The eye replied. This route is not safe. Yeah, Eli whispered. I know. The Sparrow turned, engines humming as it moved toward the ghost moon. Outside the windows, stars shifted. The journey took hours, but Eli stayed awake, eyes fixed on the signal dot as the moon appeared. It looked dead, gray and broken. Giant cracks split its surface. No lights, no cities, no sign of life. Prepare landing, Eli said. The ship shook as it landed on cracked black rock. Dust flew everywhere. Silence returned. Eli grabbed his helmet and stepped outside. The air was cold. The wind didn't blow, just rocks and ruins, huge pieces of ancient buildings, long destroyed. He followed the signal deeper into the ruins. The blinking light on his wrist device grew faster. Then he saw it. A strange structure, like a broken temple, stood in the center. Dark metal walls, alien symbols, and inside something moved. Eli raised his flashlight. There, in the shadows, was a large figure, chained to a wall, armor cracked, skin burned, breathing slow. An alien, not just any alien. This one looked like a warrior, strong, tall, with 4 eyes that glowed faintly, and yet he was broken. Eli stepped closer. Can you hear me? The alien's eyes opened slowly. His voice was deep and dry. You are human? Eli nodded. You should not be here. The alien said. This place is cursed. Your signal, it called me, Eli replied. The alien looked confused. You answered. I did. For a long moment, there was only silence between them. Then the alien said, my name is Kelther. I am the last of my kind. Eli looked at the chains. How long have you been here? Too long. Kale said, my people left me. They said I failed. They said I was the kind to fight. They wanted me dead, but not with honor. They left me here, alone. Ellie's heart felt heavy. He wasn't a hero, not a soldier, just a pilot. But something about Kel's voice, it didn't sound like a monster. It sounded tired, honest. I don't leave people behind, Eli said. Not even aliens, Kale laughed, but it was more pain than joy. You are foolish, human. Others have come. They took what they wanted. None tried to help. Eli looked around the ruins. Why now? Why send the signal? Kale whispered. I didn't. The machine did. Old systems. Maybe they woke. Maybe the moon wants to be seen again. Eli knelt beside him. The chains were strange, part machine, part energy. He reached out, but Kale stopped him. No, the alien said. These chains are not just metal. They are a beacon. If you break them, they will know. Who? Kale's eyes narrowed. The ones who hate us both. Suddenly, Ellie's wrist device blinked. A new signal. Incoming ship. Unknown origin. 15 minutes to arrival. Eli looked at Kale. They're already coming. Kale looked toward the sky. Then your choice is simple. Human. Leave now and live. Or stay and be hunted. Eli stood up slowly. He looked at the broken warrior, the dead moon, and the blinking light that had led him here. He made his decision. I'm not leaving, Eli said. Kale stared at him, surprised, maybe even grateful. But the moment was short. In the sky above, the stars shifted. Another ship was coming, and the real danger was just beginning. Asterisk, the warrior in chains, cold air of moon K-17 pressed against Eli Hunter's suit. As he stood in the ruins, heart racing. Above him, the stars were silent witnesses. Behind him, his ship waited, engines on standby. And in front of him, chained to the wall of a forgotten alien temple, sat a being like none he had ever seen. Kale's single quotes, though Kale was a giant, even when sitting. His armor, though broken and scorched, still gave off a quiet power. Strange symbols pulsed faintly across his chest plate, symbols of a warrior culture long dead. His eyes, glowing softly, never blinked. They stared at Eli with the weight of centuries behind them, but Kale was weak, starving, wounded. Eli stepped closer. The chains that held Kale were normal metal. They were alive, glowing, shifting, humming softly with old energy, alien. Technology, ancient and dangerous. Why would they leave you like this? Eli asked quietly. Kale didn't answer at first. Instead, he looked toward the sky. Then he spoke, slowly, each word a small effort. Because they were afraid of me, Eli frowned. You said they abandoned you because you were too kind to fight. Kale turned to him. Yes, that was my failure. In their eyes, his voice was heavy now, almost bitter. We were bred for war. My kind, the Dorun, were made to conquer, to destroy. We were unstoppable. But war, it changes you. After 1,000 battles, I began to see something our leaders did not. Eli watched him carefully. Mercy, Kale said. I saw it in the eyes of those we crushed. I heard it in the screams of children. Mercy was not weakness. It was strength. But when I spoke of it, they called me broken, a defect. He looked down at his chained arms. They locked me here, not to die quickly, but to vanish, to be forgotten. A deep silence followed. Dust floated in the air between them. Eli could feel the weight of it all pressing on his chest. Then he asked, why not break out? You're strong. Kale laughed softly, a cold sound. These are more than chains. They bind not just my body, but my spirit, forged by my own people, with my own blood. They drain me, keep me from rising. Eli crouched beside the control panel near the chains. It was covered in dust, but still active. Strange alien runes blinked on the screen. Eli didn't understand them, but maybe he could hack in. Before he could try, Kale spoke sharply. Stop, listen. Eli froze. Silence again. Then a sound, faint at first, like a soft echo, but growing louder. Engines. Eli looked at his wrist device. Inbound ship, 10 minutes. They're close. Kale's face hardened. They've tracked the beacon. Mercenaries? Eli asked. Kale nodded. Not just mercenaries, scavengers, killers, sent by those who still fear what I might become if set free. Eli stood up, thinking fast. Then we need to move now. Kale looked at him, puzzled. You would help me, even now. You said no one answered your call before. Eli said, well, I'm not them. Kale was silent. Then finally, he said, there's another way. Beneath this ruin is a vault. Inside it is a ship, old, damaged, but it might fly. Your ship. Kale nodded. Built by the Dorun. It was hidden. Here, long ago. Only I know the way in. Great, Eli said. You lead. I'll follow. But Kale shook his head. I cannot move. The chains must break first. Eli moved to the control panel again. This time, he ignored Kale's warning. He pulled out a tool from his belt, something he used for ship repairs, and began connecting wires to the interface. Suddenly, the panel sparked. A warning sound blared. Kale groaned. The chains tightening. Energy surged through them. You must stop. He gasped. Eli didn't. Instead, he scanned for anything familiar. One room blinked faster than the rest. A power control. He pressed it. Click. One of the four chains snapped open. Kale slumped forward, breathing hard, one arm free. But now, the temple shook. The beacon's glow grew stronger. They know, Kale said. They're coming now. Outside, the engines grew louder. Eli ran to the door and peeked through a crack in the wall. In the distance, a black ship was landing, sleek, sharp, and armed. Mercenary symbols glowed red on its wings. We have minutes, Eli said. What do we do? Kale stood slowly, using his free arm. His height was more terrifying, now almost 7 feet tall, his armor glowing faintly with new life. Free the last chains, Kale said. You unleashed something the galaxy tried to bury. Eli looked at the chains, then at the approaching ship, then back at Kale. Then let's show the galaxy what they were so afraid of, Eli whispered. As he reached for the second chain, Kale's eyes locked on his. Be sure, human, once I rise, there is no going back. But Eli didn't flinch. Click. The second chain broke, and far above, in the cold silence of space, the hunters began to descend. Enemies in orbit sky above Moon K-17 cracked open with fire. Eli Hunter stood inside the ruined alien temple, sweat dripping down his face despite the freezing air. Behind him, Keltha, the last Doran warrior, stood chained by only 2 more energy bonds, his strength slowly returning. Above them, a black ship sliced through the clouds like a blade. Its engines roared. Its shadow stretched long across the cracked surface of the moon. Eli backed away from the door. "They're here." Kale nodded once, his face calm. "They always come," he said. Outside, the mercenary ship landed hard, kicking up ash and dust. The vessel was shaped like a dagger, cold, fast, deadly. Its hull was marked with a red symbol, a skull with 3 burning eyes, the sign of the Void Hounds. 6 figures stepped out. They wore dark armor, helmets with red visors, and carried heavy rifles. No mercy in their eyes, only credits in their pockets. They had one mission: bring back the Doran, dead or alive, preferably dead. Their leader, a tall woman named Sarah Cade, checked her scanner. It beeped softly, locked on the beacon. "Target is below. Moving in," she said. Deep underground, Eli worked quickly. He connected wires to the alien panel, trying to break the 3rd chain. Sparks flew again, but the interface was shifting, almost alive. Harder to hack with each attempt. Kale grunted in pain. The chains were fighting back. "They're reacting," Eli said. "They know I'm trying to free you." Kale's eyes narrowed. These chains were made by the Council of Blades. They were built to hold gods, not men. Eli ignored the fear crawling up his spine. "Yeah, well, let's see what happens when a man breaks them anyway." He hit another command. Click. The 3rd chain broke. Kale roared, not in pain, but in power. The energy inside him surged. The lights on his armor flared for a second, then dimmed again. He flexed his newly freed arm. Mel groaned. "I'm close," he said. Eli looked at the last chain. Its glow was brighter than the others, humming like it was alive. "This one looks different." Kale nodded. "It is. It binds my mind, not just my body. Meaning, once you break it, I remember everything." Eli hesitated. Outside, footsteps crunched. They were inside the ruins now. Sarah Cade moved fast, rifle raised. Her team followed, spreading out like hunting dogs. "He's close," she whispered. "And he's not alone." Eli heard them too. The sound of boots on stone, quiet voices, orders. He turned to Kale. "Can you fight yet?" Kale looked down at his chained wrist. "Not like this." Eli looked around for cover. "If I break the last chain, you won't lose control, right?" Kale didn't answer. That was not a good sign. Eli swallowed hard. "Great. Perfect." He bent down, connected the final wire, and took a breath. "Here goes nothing." Double quotes. Click. The last chain shattered. Kale roared again, louder this time. Light exploded from his body. Strange glowing lines moved across his skin and armor like rivers of fire. His eyes blazed. For orbs of pure energy. Then, silence. Kale fell to one knee. Eli stepped back. "Kale, you okay?" Kale raised his head slowly. "I remember everything." His voice was deeper now, calmer, more dangerous. "They used me," he said. "They feared what I could become. Now, they will learn what they created." Sarah and her team entered the chamber. The moment they saw Kale, they froze. "Target confirmed," Sarah said. "Weapons ready." Eli stood between them and Kale. "You're too late," he said. Sarah aimed her rifle. "Move aside. Human, this isn't your fight." Kale stood tall now, energy crackling around him. "He made it his fight," he said, "and now it's yours to lose." "Fire," Sarah shouted, but it was too late. Kale moved. He wasn't just fast. He was a blur of armor, shadow, and flame. He grabbed the first mercenary and crushed his weapon like paper. The second one fired missed. Kale leapt, slammed into him, and the man flew into a wall. Eli ducked behind a pillar as blasts filled. The chamber. Sarah was the last standing. She didn't run. She dropped her rifle, pulled out twin plasma blades, and charged. Kale caught her midair with one arm. "You are brave," he said. Then he threw her across the room. She hit the ground, groaning. "Tell your masters," Kale said, walking past her. The Doran had not died. He turned to Eli. "Come, we must reach the vault." Eli followed, still in shock. "You just took out 6 marks like nothing." Kale didn't answer. He was staring at his hands. His voice dropped. This power, it will only grow, and so will the danger. Can you control it? Kale didn't reply, and that silence said everything. As they moved deeper into the ruins, the temple began to change. The walls glowed faintly, symbols lit up. The structure was waking up, responding to Kale's return. The vault lies beneath, Kale said. There, my ship sleeps. If it still works, we fly. And if it doesn't, Eli asked. Kale looked at him with all her glowing eyes. Then we make our last stand. Above, Sarah Cade crawled back to her ship, bleeding. Furious, she activated a calm link. This is Cade, she said. The Dorun has awakened. He is help. Send in the fleet. The voice on the other end was cold. Understood. Phase 2 begins. Sarah looked back at the temple. This time, she whispered, he dies for real. Asterisk, the escape plan. The ancient stone beneath Ellie's boots groaned as he followed Kelther into the dark tunnel below the temple. Dust floated in the stale air. Glowing lines lit up on the walls, alien runes, shining blue like veins in a sleeping beast. This was no ruin. This was a living machine. Eli glanced at Kale. The warrior moved slowly now, but not from weakness. His pace was steady, purposeful, like someone walking back into a past they swore they buried. You sure your ship is still down here? Eli asked, voice echoing. It waits, Kale said. The Dorun do not forget their weapons. We only hide them until we must use them again. Behind them, the sounds of battle had stopped. Silence followed. To silent. Eli didn't trust silence anymore. They reached a massive door, circular, like a sealed eye. Kale placed his hand on the center. The runes responded. Gears shifted. The door slowly opened with a deep metallic groan. Inside, the chamber was massive. Alien tech lined the walls, long powered down, but strangely intact. And in the center, the ship. It looked like a black stingray, smooth curves, sharp edges, and wings folded inward like a sleeping predator. Doro markings glowed faintly on its hull. You built this? Eli asked. Wide-eyed. I led the design, Kale replied. This was my escape, once. Now it is our only hope. Eli circled the ship. Can it fly? Kale placed his hand on the hull. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the ship breathed. Lights flickered. The hull shimmered, and the cockpit opened like a flower blooming after a storm. Yes, Kale said, but it needs time to wake. How much time? Kale paused. Too much. Eli swore under his breath. Then we buy it. Above ground, the sky was no longer dark. Flashes of light cut through the clouds as 3 more ships entered the atmosphere. Smaller than the first one, but faster. Interceptors. They weren't just hunting now. They were here to kill. Sarah Cade stood on a rocky ridge, one arm in a sling, blood on her face. She watched the ships descend. We're going full assault, she asked into her comms. A voice replied, cold and robotic. Correct. The Dorun must not leave the surface. Destroy the ruin. Confirm the kill. Sarah looked at the ancient structure. Below, her face twisted with pleasure. In the vault, Eli and Kale powered up the ship systems. Alien screens flashed strange symbols. A deep hum filled the air. Reactor starting, Kale said. Weapons offline. Shields offline. Engines charging. Eli sat in the co-pilot seat, overwhelmed. We're sitting ducks right now. Not for long. Kale replied. Then a blast shook the chamber. Dust rained from the ceiling. Alarms blared in the alien language. They found us, Eli said. Kale moved fast. He leapt out of the cockpit, heading back toward the chamber doors. Where are you going? To hold the line. You're one man. Kale stopped. His eyes burned like stars. I am not just one man. He ran into the shadows. Above, the interceptors opened fire. Energy beams slammed into the temple ruins. Ancient stone exploded into the air. Fire lit the sky. The structure cracked and buckled. Sarah watched calmly. Burn it down. Kale reached the surface. He stood in the open, surrounded by fire and wind. The interceptors flew overhead, circling like vultures. They spotted him. Weapons locked. Kale raised his arms, and then he called. Not with words, not with sound, but with power. Energy surged from his chest, waves of heat and light. The ancient armor on his body responded. Panels shifted. His gauntlets extended. A pulse of force erupted outward. One of the interceptors tilted. Then crashed. Eli saw it on the ship's display. What the hell did he just do? Kale wasn't just a warrior. He was a living weapon. But even he couldn't stop them all. The remaining two ships swooped lower. Plasma cannons charged. Kale leapt high into the air, higher than humanly possible. He grabbed onto the wing of one ship mid-flight, tore through its hull, and sent it spiraling into the mountain. The third ship fired. A blast hit Kale mid-dash air. He crashed into the temple steps. Eli winced. Kale didn't move. The third ship turned again, preparing. The kill shot. Inside the vault, the Dorun ship beeped. Engines ready, shields at 50%. Eli had the choices, sit and wait, or fight back. He looked at the strange weapon controls. Alien runes everywhere. He didn't understand any of them, but he had to try. Come on, do something, he muttered. He slammed a button. The ship fired. A bright energy beam launched upward, hitting the interceptor dead center. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. Eli blinked. Okay, that works. He jumped out of the ship and ran to where Kale had fallen. The warrior was alive, barely. We're flying out. Now, Eli said. Kale shook his head weakly. The others, they will come. More than mercenaries. More than ships. We'll deal with them when we get there. You are foolish, maybe, but you're alive because of it. Kale smiled. Faintly. Help me up, human. Together, they limped back to the ship. The engines roared louder now. Eager to rise, they climbed in. The cockpit sealed shut. Outside, the ruins burned. As the Dorun ship rose from the temple. Smoke and dust swirling behind it. Eli looked down one last time. No going back now. Kale stared ahead, eyes glowing. Good, they've lost it into the sky, leaving Moon K-17 behind. But in deep space, something darker was already watching. Asterisk, fire and blood stars looked calm, silent. But Eli Hunter knew silence was a lie. Inside the cockpit of the alien ship. He gripped the controls tightly, his breath heavy. Behind him, Kale sat in the command chair, eyes half closed, recovering, but not resting. Never resting. Outside, the dark burned with sparks of war. 3 enemy ships followed them through space, stealth-class predators built for speed and death. Faster than anything human and almost as old as Kale himself. We've got company, Eli said. Kale opened his eyes. They're not just hunters, he said. They are bloodborne. Assassins of the ancient council. Eli checked the screen. Well, they're fast. Kale stood, armor glowing. They do not take prisoners, not even pieces. Cheerful guys, Eli muttered. Don't run, Kale said. Turn and fight. Eli blinked. Fight? There's 3 of them, then. Give them fire, Kale growled, and take their blood. The Dorun ship twisted in space like a living creature, wings flaring out as it slowed. The enemy ships followed, circling like wolves. Kale activated the weapons ray. Alien lights danced across the ship's interior. Ancient energy surged through the veins of the craft. Targeting systems online, Kale said. Ellie's fingers hovered over the trigger. What if I miss? Kale didn't look at him. Then we die, right? No pressure. The first enemy ship attacked. It came fast, silent, slicing through black space like a knife. Red beams burst from his sides, cutting toward them. Eli spun. The ship, barely dodging the blast. The shields flashed, shields down to 70, Kale said calmly. The second ship followed, firing plasma bursts. Eli shouted. I thought the ship was powerful. Kale smiled. You're not using all of it yet. He pressed something on his gauntlet. The dashboard changed. New symbols appeared, complex, swirling, alien. Those are Dorun battle instincts, Kale said. They sync with your movement. Fly by feel, not by thought. I'm not an alien, then become something more. Eli closed his eyes for half a second. The ship moved with him. His hands guided it like muscle, not machine. His thoughts linked with the ship. Not fully, but enough. He pulled up, looped over the second enemy, and fired. A glowing spear of energy exploded from the whole. Direct hit. The enemy ship shattered into dust. Yes, Eli yelled. One down. Kale nodded. You learn fast. I've had a good teacher. The enemies didn't retreat. They split apart, flanking from both sides. They want us to choose who we fight, Eli said. Then we choose neither. Kale said. He reached forward and pressed his palm to a center crystal on the ship. The entire ship changed. Panels shifted, lights flared, armor adjusted. And then the Dorun ship split into 2. Ellie's seat stayed with the left half, which curved into a smaller fighter. Kale stood in the other, controlling the right half. What just happened? Eli shouted over comms. Battle form, Kale said. Now you fight alone. We strike as one. The enemies panicked. Their scanners couldn't keep up. Eli's single quotes S. Half flew low and fast, ducking around asteroids. Kills half moved high and silent, cloaked in a field of light. On my mark, Kill said. Eli gritted his teeth, dodging laser fire. Mark. Both half struck at once. Ellie's ship cut under the enemy, firing from beneath. Kells fired from above. The second enemy's ship erupted in flame. One left, but this one was different. The last ship activated something strange. Its wings unfolded, into dozens of sharp blades. A black core appeared in its center, glowing, pulsing. It was not a ship. It was a weapon. What is that? Eli asked. Kill's single quotes S voice lowered. A blood engine, a relic of the Void War. They were banned for a reason. Can we beat it? Kill said nothing. Ellie's hand shook. Can we beat it? Not alone, Kill replied. Then together. The halves rejoined, metal shifting, grinding back into one ship. Eli took the main controls. Kill powered up the core. Outside, the blood engine released a red pulse. Systems flickered. The Doron ship shook. We're losing power. Divert all to weapons, Kill said. We in this now. The final weapon charged. A beam began to glow at its center, dark energy that bent space around it. You only get one shot, Kill said. Eli aimed. Make it count. The screen blurred. Lights flickered. His vision pulsed. And then he fired. A beam of white fire exploded from the ship. Not tech, not science. Pure Doron wrath. It hit the blood engine mid-core. The enemy screamed. Not the pilot. The ship itself. Like it was alive. Then it died. In silence. Shattered into cold ash. Inside the Doron ship. Eli fell back in his seat, breathing hard. Kill stood quietly, watching the remains drift by. We made it, Eli said. For now, Kill replied. Eli looked at him. Why don't you sound happy? Kill turned his gaze to the stars. Because that was only their scouts. A long silence followed. Then what now? Eli asked. Kill's single quotes S voice was steady. Now we find the rest of them, the ones still left behind. Like me, Eli blinked. You mean, there are more Doron? Kill nodded. Some were hidden. Some were buried. But all of them are waiting for a signal. Eli leaned forward. So let's give them one. Far away, something deep in space heard those words, and it answered. Asterisk, a warrior's choice. Space was quiet again. To quiet. Eli sat in the cockpit, staring at the stars as the Doron ship floated through the black void. Kill stood behind him, arms crossed, his armor still glowing faintly after the battle. Both were alive. Both had survived the blood engine, but something had changed. Neither spoke for a long time. Then Kill broke the silence. I felt it. Felt. What? Eli asked. When the blood engine died, it screamed, not just in sound, in thought, in memory. Eli turned. What do you mean? Kill looked away, troubled. It was not just a weapon. It was a prison for something worse. Later, in the center of the ship, Kill opened a hidden chamber. Eli followed. The room was round, with walls made of glowing crystal. The air inside felt heavier, like gravity had doubled. In the middle stood a large stone, ancient, pulsing red. It looked alive. What is this? Eli asked. It's a blood seal, Kill said. It stores memories from the old wars, the truth, and our sins. Kill touched the seal. It lit up. Suddenly, images filled the air, projections of the past. Battles, planets burning, fleets exploding, cities falling. The Doron were not just warriors, they were conquerors. But then, something else appeared. Humans. Younger, weaker, fighting with simple ships and borrowed weapons. And winning. Ellie's eyes widened. We fought you, Kill nodded, and you beat us, he said. But not because of strength, because of something we didn't understand. Sacrifice, loyalty, unpredictability. He pointed to one image, an old human ship flying into a Doron command vessel, sacrificing itself to save a planet. That moment, Kill said, changed everything. Why? Because it made me question what we were doing. The images faded. Silence returned. Kill sat down slowly. That's when I disobeyed. He said, when I spoke against the council, they called me broken, locked me away. Eli stepped forward. You weren't broken, he said. You were just human. Kill chuckled softly. Ironic. It took a human to remind me of that. He stood again, and now I must make a choice. The ship's alert sounded. A signal blinked on the screen. A known frequency. Encrypted. Kill walked to the console. His face hardened. It's a call from one of the old vaults, he said. Another Dorun? Alive? Ellie's eyes lit up. We can save them. Kale didn't answer. What? Eli asked. Kale stared at the signal. It's a trap. You're sure? I'm sure. Eli took a deep breath. But what if it's not? Kale said nothing. Then the screen blinked again. A new signal. Sure, just one word. Brother. Kale stepped back like he'd been struck. That voice. He whispered. No, it can't be. Eli looked at him. Who is it? Kale's voice was low. My brother. Turvak. He was the one who sentenced me, the one who gave the order to chain me. And now he's asking for help or luring me into a final test. Eli stepped closer. We have to go. Kale looked at him. Why? It could kill us. Because someone once came back for you, Eli said. Maybe now it's your turn. Kale stared into the dark, then nodded. Set a course. The ship turned. It entered warp. Stars stretching into lines. Silence again until, Eli, Kale said. Double quotes, yeah. If I do not return, destroy the ship. Burn the vault. Don't let them wake. Not gonna happen, Eli replied. We both make it back. Kale smiled. You are stubborn. I'm human. They arrived above a cold, dead planet. Gray clouds. Black surface. One large canyon cut through the world like a scar. At the bottom. The vault. Half buried. Glowing faintly. Dorun symbols marked the stone symbols of command and exile. This is the place, Kale said. They landed quietly. Eli checked his blaster. Ready. Kale held up his hand. No weapons. What? Why? This is a test of faith, Eli raised an eyebrow. That's rich coming from a war machine. Kale smiled. Not machine. Not anymore. They entered the vault. Cold air. Silence. Long halls lit by dying energy. At the end, a chamber. And inside, waiting in shadow, was another figure. Armor sharp, glowing red. Taller than Kale. Tore single quotes VAK. He turned slowly. Brother. Kale stepped forward. You live. Barely, Turvak replied. But you are different. I chose another path. You chose weakness. I chose life. They circled each other like lions. Turvak raised a device. Return with me. The council will forgive you. The council is dust. Kale said. Then stand with me. Together. We rise again. Kale didn't answer. Turvak looked at Eli. You've poisoned him. He growled. No, Eli said. He saved himself. Turvak raised his weapon. Then he dies with you. Kale moved. Not in anger. Not in hate. But with purpose. He struck the device from his brother's hand and said, no more chains. They fought. Metal slammed into metal. Energy exploded. The vault shook. In the end, Kale stood above his fallen brother, breathing hard. Turvak looked up, smiling weakly. You became what they feared. Kale looked down. No, I became what they hoped. Outside, as the vault began to collapse, Eli and Kale ran back to the ship. They launched into orbit just as the canyon swallowed the old world whole. Inside the cockpit, silence returned. Then Eli asked, what now? Kale stared ahead. Now we finish it. Far across the stars, something dark stirred in the shadows. Waiting. Watching. And ready. Asterisk humanity. F asterisk yeah. Asterisk. The galaxy held its breath. Stars dimmed. Systems went silent. Or fleets paused mid-maneuver. Deep inside black space, something ancient, something forgotten began to wake. Kale's single quotes there stood inside the alien warship, staring at a dark sphere hovering in the middle of the ship's control chamber. The last signal had been received. A beacon that had not pulsed in 10,000 years. The council core was alive again, and it was calling everything back. They're coming, Kale said quietly. Eli stood beside him. No armor, no power, just a man with a stubborn heart and tired eyes. How many? He asked. Kale didn't answer. He didn't have to. The star map filled with red dot ships, stations, drones, awakening weapons, machines that had waited thousands of years in silence. One by one, they were all lighting up. How are we supposed to fight all that? Eli whispered. Kale looked at him. We don't. What? We stand on the edge of human space. Alarms blared. Earth Command picked up a wave of unknown ships entering charted zones. Alien vessels. Massive. Organized. Moving like a single mind. Human generals panicked. Diplomats failed. Then came the message. Not words. Not sound. A vision. A memory of fire. Of chains. Of destruction. The Dorun Council had returned not to talk, but to judge dot to finish what they started. But they didn't expect him. Kill's ship reached the edge of human space dot and hovered. Alone, small, outnumbered, dwarfed by fleets beyond counting dot. Eli stared out the window. You sure this is a good idea? No, Kale said, but it's the right one. On the comms, a voice crackled. Unidentified alien ship, you are entering restricted human airspace. Power down and prepare for escort. Eli leaned in. This is Captain Eli Hunter of the freighter Sparrow. With me is Kelther of the Dorun. Long silence. Then, you brought a Dorun here. Are you insane? Eli smiled. Maybe, but he's not here to fight us. He's here to stand with us. Another voice entered the channel. A woman is. Time calm, firm. Captain Hunter, this is General Maya Kran. If what you're saying is true, prove it, because we've got thousands of Dorun ships on our border, and we're running out of time. Kale leaned in. Then let me speak. What followed was not a speech. It was a confession. Kale spoke of war, of pain, of mistakes, of a species born to destroy, and how one of them found something different among the ruins. Mercy. He told the galaxy that the council no longer spoke for his kind. He said he would stand between them and the end, and if he failed doing it, then so be it. The Dorun Council listened. From high towers on cold stars. Their ancient minds considered Turvak's defeat had shaken them. Kale's message disturbed them, but most of all they feared him now, not for his strength, for his choice. They sent their response. Not a message. A fleet. The largest in Dorun history. Tens of thousands of ships. It reached Earth's border in minutes. Battle formations formed. Humans scrambled. Earth's forces were brave, but small. Eli looked at Kale. They're going to get through. Kale nodded. Unless we do the impossible, which is. Kale smiled. We asked them for help. Eli sent a signal. Not a weapon, not a warning, just a message. A single line. If you ever wanted to repay the universe, now's the time. He sent it to everyone. Scavengers, smugglers, farmers, soldiers, pirates, scientists, exiles. Humans. People. Not perfect, not powerful, but real. The response? First a few ships. Then a few more. Then hundreds. Then thousands. Ships flew in from every edge of space-rusted freighters, mining rigs, repurposed fighters. Even cargo drones turned into missiles. None of them had fleets, but all of them had one thing in common. They were human. And they refused to go quietly. The battle at the border of Earth was like nothing the galaxy had seen. Dorun ships moved with deadly precision. Human ships moved with desperation. With fire. With madness. They dropped satellites as bombs, turned cargo containers into traps, disabled their own ships to crash into enemy engines. Chaos reigned. But it wasn't enough. The Dorun fleet pushed harder, broke lines, crushed resistance. Kale stood on the bridge, silent. He watched it all. Then he turned to Eli. It's time. For what? Kale walked to the heart of the ship. There. The core weight is still burning from battle form. I was made as a weapon, he said, but maybe I can end as a shield. What are you doing? Eli asked, eyes wide. Saving what's left. You'll die. Kale looked back. I already did once. This time, I choose it. Before Eli could stop him, Kale entered the core chamber. His body merged with the ship, armor fused with energy. His mind linked with the Dorun tech in a way no warrior ever had. The ship glowed. Then exploded outward with a wave of blue light. All Dorun ships within 100,000 kilometers stopped, powered down. As if time froze. The human ships rallied. And 1 later, when it was done, Eli floated in space, alone in an escape pod. The ship was gone. Kale was gone. Or so he thought. Then, in the distance, a spark appeared. A beacon, not a distress call, a memory. Kale's single quotes S voice. The choice to fight for others. That's not weakness. That's humanity, and it saved me. And deep in the stars, other Dorun heard it. Some woke. Some wept, and some chose something new. The galaxy would never be the same again, because in the end, it wasn't weapons that stopped the war. It was one man, one alien, and a single, stubborn truth. Humanity never gives up. Humanity fights for more. Humanity, F***,